Hello. Welcome back to Three Chord Bond. This is a new season. This is a new year. We have a new mission. We have new information. I'm so excited about what Three Chord Bond is going to be bringing you for the new year. In the studio today, we have a tax prepared to give you some good information. He's going to give you news that you can use for the year of 2023. There are some things that are going to be thrown out, some things that are going to be pulled in, and we always want to know, how can I protect myself? How can I be a smart consumer? How can I be a good American? Amen. So we know that taxes are a thing of that we dread every year. Some of us get returns, some of us are not so lucky. But it's definitely something that we have to be educated about. Before I do my introduction, I wanted to do a little introduction or a bio of Eric. His name is Mr. Eric Lehman, and he's the owner of his own tax preparation company located in Jacksonville, Florida. He always had the interest in taxes. He started out as a VITA volunteer with income tax assistant through the local community college. It was nice to have be able to help people get refunds that didn't expect to receive. um, he did a couple of seasons with H&R Block. Then it was just helping family and friends until about 10 years ago when he began working with Liberty Tax Service. He worked as a MA for a couple of seasons, received an opportunity to run his own office in Florida, which he is currently doing. He strives to make taxes fun while providing an accurate tax return and, of course, getting clients the largest refund possible. Hello, Eric. Welcome to the studio. How are you today?
I'm Miss Angel. I'm well. Thank you.
Good. Tell us, what can we look forward to in this new tax season? But before you do that, is there anything that you would like to add about your bio that I left out?
Well, you used the word dread. Yeah, a lot of people do dread tax time, but we at Liberty, we try to turn that around a little bit. We have a little bit of fun in the office, and we're very informal and casual and kid friendly. We have our little setup for the children. We're not afraid of children. Bring them on in.
All right.
But other than that, yeah, thank you very much. That was a nice intro.
It's important. A lot of times we cannot get away from the children, and it's a long process. So that's good to know that you are kid friendly. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Are there any
Well,
changes in the tax season that you want to aware of us of?
yeah, there are. The last few years have been change after change, probably since 2018. Every year there's some kind of change going on. But went through a few updates between last year and this year because the word on the street is refunds are going to be a little bit lower this year than last compared to last year, and that's true. We try to keep our clients informed. Last year, we let them know ahead of time that they probably were going to have a smaller, not going to see the 10 and 12 and $15,000 refunds. It's going to be back to 2, 5, 8, depending on your circumstance. So some of the things we try to keep a heads up on is people that come in with low withholdings. They're not having enough tax withheld in their check. So we'll have them fill out a W-4 right there in the office and advise them to send it to their HR people. Some changes. So I guess for my clients, a lot of dealing with the children. Their 16-year-old is going to know ahead of time, you're not going to get the earned income credit when your child turns 17.
Oh
The
my.
12-year-old turns 13. You're going to lose the child and dependent care expense. Your daycare expenses is going to go
Mhm.
away. 18-year-old that turns 18, going to lose unless that child goes to college, you're going to lose the earned income credit. So, like I say, we try to let them know ahead of time, get them prepared. But as always, we try to let them, get the largest refund we can based on their information. So some of the changes, the child tax credit last year was 3,000, a flat 3,000, regardless of your
Mhm.
income. Last year, 2021 tax season, was a flat
Right.
$3,000. If your child was under 6, you got 3,600. This year, it's up to $2,000 maximum per child. So it's a big drop. And there is a
Wow.
minimum income. Last year, you could get the 3,000 per child, even if you had no income. This year, minimum is 2,500, and it's a percentage above that 2,500 up to 1,000.
Wow.
The child independent care last year was up to 8,000 for 2 or more children. This year, it's 2,100 would be the maximum this year.
My
So the
goodness.
the only one that really didn't change. Yeah, so it's going to be a change for some people. In fact, I did a lady yesterday. She got 10,000 last year, and it's 3,000 this year. But she knew
Man.
when she came in. She said, "Yeah, I know my refund's going to be a little bit less this year." The earned
Oh my
income credit
goodness.
is the other major tax credit for people that are claiming children, and that didn't really change too much. It's up a couple hundred. The maximum last year is about 6,700. This year it's about 6,900 for 3 or more children. So with those kinds of numbers, we can see why people might be out there stealing children's identities and information and filing tax returns trying to claim that money.
Oh my goodness.
Claim children they have no business claiming. So
Mhm.
we tell our clients, most people seem to know that the credits max out with 2 or 3 children, and so they don't file the 4th or 5th child. But we tell them, file all your children. So one, you'll get some money. The child tax credit is an unlimited number of children there on that credit.
Mhm.
But also, you're going to know no one else is claiming your child on another tax return somewhere. You can imagine, I guess we've heard the cases of maybe a 17 or 18-year-old that goes out and tries to buy a car, and they're expecting pretty much a zero credit report, no information available.
Mhm.
And then they find out, oh, there's a credit card open here, a credit card open there. And, that's not a pretty situation to be in. So
No, it's
we
not.
definitely encourage people, file all your children. Make sure
Yeah.
nobody else is claiming children they're not supposed to be claiming.
There was another way that
Um,
you were telling me about identity theft. What's this tax number that you were telling me about? What's up with that?
the IP PIN, which is a 6-digit number, the IRS will issue. If you're a victim of identity theft, they'll issue this 6-digit number that has to be included if you file electronically. The number has to be included on the tax return. States like Florida and Texas, where they say it's allows a lot of transient people moving in and out of this, they may issue identity theft and issue that.
All right. Eric, it looks like you're having some technical
December
difficulties.
occasionally, like last year, a lot of them didn't get issued
Mhm.
until January. But if you have any identity theft issues, sometimes people will throw these things out thinking it's junk mail. But if you have identity theft issues, you might be issued this PIN, and you do want to keep a lookout for that PIN. Last thing you want to do is have to mail in a tax return. I don't know if
Oh
anyone
my goodness.
in your audience had to do that, but we have people that are tied up. They're still behind 2020 and 2021. I believe it's close to 2 million tax returns that they still haven't years. And most of those
I
are tax returns
remember
that were
I
mailed in.
remember I'm old enough to remember that that used to be the only method. You only could mail in your tax returns. So, what has changed, you think? Was it just the man load with the IRS has decreased? Like the jobs of people preparing the taxes?
Technology, you know,
Hmm.
technology over the years changes, and we all try to take advantage of it, use it as a tool for business, and the same with governments. We'll try to use some of these things as tools, or be more efficient with their processes.
Hmm.
And then identity theft issues. Well, that would be part of it. Electronic filing has certainly made it easier to, let me say, quicker and easier to identify when an identity has been stolen. Of course, that's the good side. On the bad side, of course, it's easier for those that steal these identities to go ahead and use them. They can get money, products, a lot quicker. So there's the good and the
Hmm.
bad of the technology side of it. Having said that, what we try to do, like I say, is tell them to claim their children, let the clients claim their children, and then the IRS about six years ago enacted what they call the PATH Act, and what that did was delay the release of refunds for people that are claiming any of these child tax credits, earned income credits, uh,
Hmm.
education credits was also included in that. And their idea was to, we get a lot of, for instance, a boyfriend, girlfriend, only one should be claiming the children. If the children
Uh-huh.
are living with you, you're the one that should be claiming the children, not the one that,
Hmm.
if they're not living with that person, then that person shouldn't be claiming them. But they'll do a race to see who can file first. And sometimes the non-custodial parent gets the tax return in first, is getting the
Hmm.
refund, and the custodial parent, the parent the child we're living with, files the tax return a little bit later, and her or their return gets rejected because somebody already claimed one or more of the children. So the PATH Act, instead of releasing refunds, say January, early February, the PATH Act said, let's hold everything, give ourselves a few extra weeks to kind of compare Social Security numbers,
Yeah.
and hopefully reduce this race to get the refund type of activity. It does also, which I think, well, it's good and bad, but the PATH Act also does enact penalties. It bars people from filing up to 10 years if you're
Oh wow.
shown to have intentionally filed a fraudulent tax return claiming the earned income credit. They can bar you from 10 years, up to 10 years to file that. And we do, we we don't want to act like the tax man. We do have to ask certain questions. We have to do our due diligence. The IRS requires us to
I have a
try to
question
verify
for you.
information. I'm sorry. Yeah, try to
There
verify.
there is, of course, letters going out about people who fraudulently claimed unemployment. So the IRS is going after them. What could be the penalty? Is that a jailed offense? What these people did during the pandemic
It
with
could
fake
be, probably
companies
should
and
be. Um, that might be more of a state by state issue. The states are in charge of how they handle the unemployment. The IRS or the federal government has an allotment of money for unemployment claims that they issue in block grants to the different states, and the states are in charge of how conducting the requirements to claim the unemployment and the process of claiming the unemployment. So I think a lot of that would be more of a state issue. Um, they are finding, uh, they'll, you want to call them groups of
Mhm,
crime syndicates will set up fake websites for
mhm.
filing unemployment claims. We've had cases where someone's incarcerated. I just had a gentleman last year. He was only there 6 months. Didn't file his 2020 or his 2021. Came into us. The 20 was rejected, and as it turned out, he was a victim of identity theft, and he feels it was while he was incarcerated. Somehow, somebody got into his place and got his information. You know, they're very creative. These people can be very creative.
I guarantee.
They
I
could.
believe you. Yeah.
There was cases of stealing social security numbers from people that were dead, filing tax returns from people that had passed away. So
My goodness.
that's as recent as, I would say, 2 years ago. And the Social Security number, again, with the PATH Act provisions, the Social Security and the U.S. Treasury or IRS are working to reduce that.
All
And the same with
right.
the incarceration. You want to, you pay your price. Hey, come out, you get a good job. Who needs the hassle, right? Of finding out your identity was stolen, and now you got to file a paper tax return. You got to file an identity theft affidavit. You got to check in with the credit bureaus. Some of us don't really do that. We should do that at least once a year, but when they come to us and have this issue, now we'll help them out, give them the information they need, where to go, and hopefully it's a one-time thing, but it can take months, even a year or more to resolve some of these issues, identity theft or fraudulent tax returns.
Wow. All right. With that being said, that will conclude our segment of our tax expert. Eric, I want to thank you so much.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
For some states, 17 states were issuing their own stimuluses. Indiana, I heard was not heard, but we see that Indiana had issued $125 tax relief. So
Yeah.
if you didn't get it, maybe it was sent to a closed bank account, or it was mailed to an address that you no longer live at. Just go to look up the Indiana DOR, and somewhere near the bottom you'll see some information regarding that $125. And they actually issued a second one of $200.
A
I just want to
second
let you
one of
people in Indiana.
$200. I'll
Yes,
have to check
there's
that website.
criteria.
I don't remember getting the second one. So I'll be
Yeah, that
checking
was
that
just passed.
website.
That was just passed a few months ago. Yeah. So
Okay,
hopefully it'll show up when you
that's good
file.
information to use. For all my Indiana
There you go.
people, check on that second stimulus. I got one, but I don't remember getting a second one. Oh
All right.
wow, thank you. All right, Eric.
Well, I appreciate you
Again,
having me.
oh, thank you for coming. And again, if you want to shout out the name of your tax preparation company there in Jacksonville, Florida, you're with
It's Liberty Tax Service.
Liberty Tax
The
Service.
the
All
national
right.
number is, oh, okay. The
Oh,
number is 166-871-1040. Our
all
local
right.
number is 904-722-9991. Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, great. I'm glad you were able to get those numbers out there. Anyone looking for tax preparation, please look up, and he can do it virtual. Can you let us know before you
Yes.
leave, Eric, how many states are you able to prepare taxes in for those listening?
Oh, all 50. Yeah.
All
All
50.
50 of them.
All 50. So
Yes. Yeah.
contact him because he can also do your taxes virtually. So you no longer need to walk into the office. We could just sit at the computer like we're doing now and get our taxes done. How awesome is that? So this is a tax preparer that I am vouching for. Thank you so much.
Mm.
And join us again one day, Eric, and give us any updates on anything new that's happening in the tax world. I thank you. All right. As we get ready for our next segment, I'm going to do a bio of our next guest. But before then,
Attorney Takasia, 2023 interview.
all right. Her name is Attorney Takasia. And before she comes on, I'm going to do a short bio of Takasia as we prepare for her. She is self-proclaimed serial mompreneur. Keisha Gardner, ESQ, relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina shortly after obtaining her undergraduate degree in English and criminal justice. After various roles with numerous Fortune 500 companies, she obtained her Juris Doctorate and became a licensed attorney. Keisha later opened a boutique law firm servicing clients in the area of civil litigation and family law. After accomplishing this, she continued her entrepreneurial journey by establishing multiple brands. Her brand, Coca Bee Shoes, offers eye catching footwear for the trend-setting women. Most recently, she broke ground on the new showroom by Coca Bee, which doubles as a shoe store and a community center that caters to the online business owners. The showroom by Coca Bee not only gives women a chic place to purchase shoes, but also offers various ways of online entrepreneurs to showcase their brands. With programs such as Boutique for a Week, where business owners get an opportunity to experience what it feels like to have their own brick and mortar location and business showers, where new business owners can introduce, announce, and present their new business to friends, family. Keisha hopes to provide a valuable and practical resource to other entrepreneurs in her community. You can visit the showroom by Coca Bee at 5105 Reagan Drive, Suite 101 in Charlotte, North Carolina, or shop the collection at www.cocabeeshoes.com. Please look on my Facebook page for the information of Coca Bees and her website. I'm excited to introduce you. Attorney Gardner, how are you today?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excited to hear all about your bio, all the information that you provide for the community, as well as an attorney, a businesswoman. Um, for 2023, this is huge, and I'm very excited to know, where did it start? What encouraged you to take this journey? I want to know all about you. Is
Okay.
there anything that I left out of your bio that you wanted to add before we get started?
The only thing that I would add is that my first name is actually Takesha. Yeah, so just to clarify on that, and I get a lot of mispronunciations with my name, but I was named after my brother's first grade crush. So yeah, I like to always get that right, just on his behalf, his ode to his elementary school crush. But my most of my friends call me Keisha, and obviously in the legal world, I'm referred to as Attorney Gardner. So
excellent. All right. So what do we start with first? Well, I see that you are an attorney. Let's start there. In family litigation, as well as civil litigation. Those are two, the civil side of things. What should we know, and how should we guard ourselves going in more educated? Because the last couple of years, we've had a lot of litigation issues going on, with things being recorded and not being justified, with traffic stops, with, just things in the news. How can we protect ourselves so that we are moving smarter in the year coming?
yeah, so I think overall, I would say, and just to be clear, so there's a difference between criminal defense and criminal issues versus civil litigation. So I think a lot of times, or what has happened in the media, particularly with the protests surrounding George Floyd and all of that, a lot of times those issues get convoluted. So, for example, I like to explain to people that even if in situations where criminal defense didn't go the way we wanted to, so in some instances we've seen where cops are exonerated from things that they've done, but there's also still a civil piece of that. So, a cop may be exonerated, but that's not to say that a civil suit won't follow. And I think we've seen in the past with a lot of these high profile cases is that when you have a criminal defense trial, we may not get the verdict that we wanted, but shortly to follow will be a civil litigation file where you see a lot of these entities having to pay millions of dollars to these families. So I would say, just as a general public, just to make sure that we're knowledgeable about that. And that we're also not so quick to say that, oh, well, if the cop did not get found guilty, then that's a bad thing. Because sometimes it may not go that way. And that's just the scales of justice, But we just need to know, as a community, that shortly to follow will be that civil litigation. So just understanding that, someone is going to pay, that someone will have to pay for what happened. And with that said, there's no dollar amount that you can put on someone's life, but it's definitely helpful. I think we've seen that in cases like, the Breonna Taylor case or the Atika Robinson case, where, we didn't get the verdict that as a community we thought should have been handed down. However, those police officers involved and even the municipalities, they ended up paying millions of dollars to this family. So I think overall, as a community, one thing that we should do is, one, don't be so quick to judge. Also, I know it becomes difficult, particularly when you see people that, and I'm speaking to the Black community specifically.
All right.
When we see people that look like us, we're very quick to judge these people. And I mean, in terms of attorneys, or in terms of, people who may not be on our side. I would also say, don't be so quick to judge those people. They all have a job to do, and some of those people, they're not happy about the fact that they have to do their job, but they still have to do it.
Right.
So I would say overall, for our community, continue to stay educated, continue to follow the issues, do your own investigation. And by do your own investigation, I know a lot of times, particularly with social media, we read something and we say, oh, I know that they're guilty, or, oh, that should be first degree murder. And, before you spread that misinformation, on your Instagram or on your Facebook, make sure that you're doing your own investigation. Make sure that you actually understand. Because I will say, a lot of times, the information that we get as the public, and by public, I mean, we're not in the courtroom. We don't know what evidence they looked at. A lot of times that information is a little skewed. So, we're rushing to judgment. So if I would say, just for a few things, make sure that we are continuing to be educated about the system. Understand that there's a difference between criminal law versus civil law. A lot of times they work hand in hand, but criminal law, you're looking at someone who's going to get jail time, versus civil law, that's typically some type of monetary payment or some type of retribution in that form.
Excellent. Excellent. You are so right about the quickness of social media and the spread of false information.
Mhm.
We can hear a story and 5 minutes later, the what they call it, the public opinion.
Mhm.
Public opinion can twist the story completely different, and we
Right.
come up with a whole nother narrative before even knowing what's really going on.
Exactly.
And the sad part is, we do that to our own people. We
Mhm.
can spin a public opinion that can really hurt someone's case, that can
Exactly.
hurt the true story coming out, because
Mhm.
they'll run with that false narrative. So
Yes.
we do got to know, we do have to understand that social media is good and bad.
Mhm. Right.
It's
And
good.
agreed. I mean, I say all the time that, particularly in the last few years, again, with the protests of George Floyd, I'm very happy on what social media can do in terms of galvanizing, our community and getting people together. I mean, I think we all know these were things that have always happened historically, but now,
Right.
because of social media, we're able to organize protests and do things like that. However, the dark side of that is that sometimes, you get people who are spinning the facts and spinning the information, and they have their own theory, and they may have a larger platform than the person who has the truth, and that becomes the social media truth.
That's so true. Um, my dog got loose. I'm so sorry. So there is a time and a place for accuracy and for information to be given the correct way. So, what should we do as a person who's in a situation? How should we gather the community, and at what stage of the problem should we bring other people in?
Mhm.
So if
So
I
in
had an
terms
injustice and
Mhm.
I needed the community to, join in, I need help. I need information. How can I go about that information, and at what stage of my case can I talk to other people about it?
So I would say, and just to make sure I'm answering the question correctly, do you mean in terms of if some type of civil staff, and you feel like you want to galvanize for any type of injustice that you're referring to?
Um, Well, I want to keep it light. I want to just talk about, something like a wrong traffic stop. I get pulled
Mhm.
over and I'm arrested, instead of giving a ticket. Like, when should
Right.
we, or
Okay,
if we
got it.
should share
Got it.
that information?
I'm gonna give you the best answer that I think, that I would say, in my opinion. Call an attorney. Call an attorney first. Talk to an attorney, because I think, we also, in our community, we have this hesitancy about talking to attorneys, for a number of reasons, and it's understandably so. But I think a part of being an attorney is also a counselor, and people miss that piece as well. So, sometimes, or a lot of times, you'll talk to an attorney, and an attorney may tell you that, well, there's no need to galvanize anybody because you did it. So you can you can galvanize as many people as you want, but in the end, it may not work in your favor. So my rule of thumb is call an attorney. If you feel like you got pulled over and you should not have been pulled over, call an attorney. If you need assistance on, even if you talk to an attorney and you don't feel comfortable, call another attorney and talk to another attorney, because a part of being an attorney is being a counselor as well. So it's not just, resolving legal issues. Sometimes it's really just talking through it. And there are some instances where, yeah, an injustice may have happened, but, sometimes it may not be the best thing at this point, or at that particular point, to actually galvanize the troops and do a full-blown protest. So, like I tell anybody, yeah, start with the attorney first, because we will give you the one thing that I learned about being an attorney, and is a skill that I use now, even with Coca V Shoes, is that we listen to the facts. We listen to the facts. We remove all of our emotions from it. We remove all of the personal convictions that we may have about it, and we're going to get those facts. And if those facts do not work in your favor, we will let you know that they do not work in your favor. Now, moving on from that point, we can discuss maybe some strategies and things like that. But any attorney that you talk to, they are going to give you the facts. And sometimes, when you're in a situation where, it's a very high energy situation, you feel like you've been wronged, or you feel like people have done you wrong. And sometimes an attorney will be that person to counsel you and to say, like, okay, well, let's just look at the facts here, because this is actually what it should be. So that's my rule of thumb. I know people have, sometimes they're uncomfortable around attorneys, but as I just said, if you don't like that attorney, call another one. If you don't like that one, call another one.
Exactly.
If you're not happy with that one, find another one. Or, sometimes
Exactly.
even ask the attorney, I don't think that this could be the right fit for me, but do you have a colleague? Do you have maybe a female attorney that you work with on these type of cases? So that would be my response. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an attorney, but I'm saying that based on the skill that every attorney has, and that is to look at the facts. We look at the facts, and sometimes it doesn't work in our favor, and sometimes we're upset about it. But the truth of the matter is the facts are the things that actually matters. That's
right.
what makes things determinate. That's what determines so many things.
That's right. That's a perfect answer, because what we do is run to Uncle Bubba. Uncle Bubba hype us up, and the wrong information
Right.
is what gets some people excited. So that's exactly the answer I was looking for. Seek intelligent information. Seek the
Right.
law. If you are ignorant of the law and exactly what you went through, whether or not you were wronged or not, you got to seek an attorney. So let's
Right.
make it normal again, like she said, to seek counsel. Don't forget that they are counselors too. They can
Exactly.
answer your questions.
Right.
Amen. So we get good information. So not just, the word from Uncle Bubba,
Right.
So
And at the end of the day, a fact is a fact, like, and sometimes the facts are sad, but a fact is a fact. And it's one of those things where if you talk to an attorney, they're going to give you, once you tell them the facts, they will give you their opinion on how the case will happen, what will happen with the case, and they will tell you, based on the facts that you gave them, what's the best thing to do. So that would be my answer for everyone. I'm not saying that, I don't believe in community organization, because I do. And that's actually a part of, civil rights as well, is that, you know, the community organization part of it. So I'm not saying that I don't believe in that, but I will say that, you know, if you're in a situation and you feel that way, you need to talk to an attorney immediately. Don't wait on it. Don't call the family friend who you think has been through this situation before.
That's
Don't talk
right.
to the person at work whose nephew went through the same thing.
Right.
No,
Exactly.
just talk to an attorney.
That's right. Well, very good. So as we go into the next topic, I gotta know, um, well, let's break down because from your bio, your community center doubles as several other things.
Mhm.
So we can do a pop-up as a new business at your location. You have your business at your location. And is your attorney office at a different location, or are all of these amenities found in one building?
Yeah, I wish it could be that simple and they were all in one building, but they're not. So I
Okay.
drive around a lot throughout the day. But we can start with Kokabee Shoes, and I'll talk a little bit about just about the evolution and how I got to the showroom. So I actually started Kokabee Shoes shortly after law school. And it was really just a hobby in the beginning. Like, I will say I was definitely a victim of, you know, it's my business, but I'm not spending enough time on it. So I would work on it, you know, sometimes. And then as it started to grow and as different things started happening in my life, I started putting more into the actual brand of Kokabee.
Okay.
So, and what I saw Kokabee is being something that, one, I love shoes. So I knew that I wanted to design shoes, but I also wanted to sell shoes because I said to myself, my designs are important, but I know some great designers as well. So Kokabee started out as just an online shoutique. I would, you know, draw out my designs whenever I could, but mostly I was just selling designs from other people. And then I said to myself, you know what, it's time to get my designs out there. So that's what I did. I started sending my designs into a manufacturer, and they helped me, and they still help me create my design. So now 50% of the production that I have are actually my original designs.
Oh, wow.
So did that for a while, and then, you know, in your journey, and one thing I can say about being an entrepreneur is that it's so important to focus on your journey, right? Because during your journey, you meet so many different people. And you know, I met people who sold eyelashes. I met people who sold just about anything. Like, I have a great friend who created she's an entrepreneur. She's based in Atlanta, but she created a card game because she said, you know, it's so difficult being at a certain age and you want to meet friends. So
Mm-hmm.
she created a card game where it's like, you know, just pretty much 50 questions, but it's like Uno, you know, like, which was so cool. So back to my journey though. So in my journey, I met so many entrepreneurs who were online, and there are a lot of, I would say, I don't want to call them blocks, but there are a lot of different things that make being an online entrepreneur more difficult than having a brick and mortar location. So, for example, you know, shipping fees went up during COVID. For a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, they almost doubled. You know, for my business, I wasn't that heavily affected because my shipping rates were okay. But if you have heavier items, you know, I saw some of my friends where their shipping prices doubled. So they had to double, you know, what they were selling to people. So with that said, I had an overwhelming amount of people who were online entrepreneurs. And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they have became my colleagues. And I said to myself, I said, you know, it would be great if we had a way or had a place where all of these online entrepreneurs, whenever they wanted to, could come showcase their designs to people. Maybe it could be a pop-up, maybe not, because sometimes a pop-up is a lot too for certain people because it's physical vending, which is a
Yeah.
lot for an online business owner. So, you know, that's where the idea came from. The idea, and it came from, you know, me just being like, wow, like all of my friends are basically saying the same thing. You know, we're saying that doing these pop-up shops are a lot because we don't know whether people are actually going to show up. We have our outrageous vending fees. Sometimes we're not physically in a position to stand up at a pop-up shop for 6 to 7 hours. So I know, like, for me, pop-up shops were very difficult because I'm also a mother. So I couldn't at the time bring my 3-year-old with me to a pop-up and expect her to sit there for 7 to 8 hours. So
Exactly.
that's where the idea came from. And to be honest with you, I didn't think it seemed so far-fetched that I would be able to double, though, at the time, because I said, well, I don't know how I could do a shoe store and have a showroom at the same time, because what am I going to do with the shoes, right? So I think I tried maybe about 2 or 3 places, just didn't work. Either they were, too small, or I just felt like from a decor perspective, it wouldn't work. And then finally, I found the perfect location. It was the square footage that I wanted. It had just enough room so that I could showcase my designs, sell shoes, and then also do one of the programs that I thought about, which is Boutique for a Week. And Boutique for a
Oh,
Week, which I love that concept. That allows an online business owner to basically come in and rent my space for a whole week. They can change the
yeah.
signage if they want to. They can do, all of that.
Excellent. That sounds like a great idea. Um, I think that that would take off all over the country. Boutique for a week.
Mhm.
Wow. So that means that someone from California can come into your area, sell their fashion for a week. That's news that we can use. That's information for my other entrepreneurs. And I have a lot of friends who have clothing deals, that have clothing businesses. So I hope you guys are listening, because there's a location that
Mhm.
if your design is local, you can go to North Carolina and
Mhm.
spread the news, spread your design, spread your look for a
Right.
whole week. And so if we can do this all over the country, then we can really expand.
Mhm.
I have this thing. My new mission is to use this information and use it as economic growth. So if we feed into each other, we grow economically, because the
Exactly.
number stays and it continues to multiply within the community. So
Agreed.
um, that's my mission for 23. And I'm glad that you are one of the first entrepreneurs, along with some of my interviewees from the year of 22, that we are part of a new economic growth that
Mhm.
can happen in our community.
Right.
So I'm excited to hear about um, also the community center that you have. What
Mhm.
type of events are you hosting there?
Sure. So I would say, and I can give you some examples because they change so much, right? Because I
Okay.
get to meet so many different people.
Yeah.
And I hope that I'm not like spilling anyone's surprise here, but I'll only talk about past events. One of the initiatives that I'm really proud of is the business shower program that I have. And the business shower program, is basically a take on, we have a shower for everything. You have a bridal shower, you have a baby shower, but you don't have a business shower. And, quite honestly, starting a business is hard. It's not easy. It takes a lot of materials, even from an online business standpoint. You need shipping supplies. You need to make sure that are your stickers right? Are your boxes customized? It's a lot. And sometimes, or at least I found in my journey, is that sometimes that beginning process becomes so difficult because people don't realize how much money they have to put into it and how much
Mm.
work they have to put into it. So with that said, that's where the business showers idea came from. So a business shower would be someone who, they just started out on their journey and they have this great idea, but they need help from their family and friends to get it off the ground. So it would give them the opportunity to be in a space where they can invite their friends and their family. I also show them how to create an Amazon wish list, which should be geared towards all business materials. So like your label printer. Do you have your printing paper if you're working online? Do you have your UPS stickers? did you set up, do you have your business stamps? Do you have, things like that? So I tried to guide them that when they set up their Amazon list, that it should have things like that. So that's one of the programs that I'm really proud of that we offer. And another program, this is actually something that's it's coming in a few months. Let's just say that, because I don't want to give out too much information here. But it's going to be a symposium for women business owners.
Okay.
And what I like about it is that it talks about the mental issues that some women face when they're an entrepreneur. And those issues can range anywhere from PTSD or even anxiety, or even being overwhelmed by, trying to reach a goal that seems like it's unattainable. So that's one that I'm really excited to see. That's actually a local business in Charlotte who contacted us and said that they were interested in holding that here. So because they're a nonprofit, that would just be a complimentary program that we'll have at the showroom.
Oh wow. I wish that I could be a guest at that. That sounds like something that's moving into my mission.
Mhm.
So, how can I be a guest at this symposium?
I know. I want to be a guest.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just
Yeah,
a
no, I
vendor
want to
and
be a
an
guest. So
idea.
no, this is actually, so it's someone else's event. And once I have the full, and because she's just in the planning stages now, but once
Okay.
I have the full information, I'll definitely share. But no, it's an amazing, I love the concept that she has. And like I said, even when she brought it to me, I was so amazed by the fact that she was, one, even wanted to touch on the topic, and that
Mhm.
two, that she had already had a full-blown program to discuss that topic that involved other women entrepreneurs. So, but once I have the details, I'll definitely share, because I told her the same thing. Like, I want to come. I want to be, I'll sit in the
Absolutely.
audience myself.
I think the pandemic did something to entrepreneurism. It it motivated a lot of people because either they lost their secular jobs, either they lost working for somebody and decided to invent themselves in this season. But a lot of people who were already invented lost a lot of customers
Yeah,
because everybody had to stay indoors. You
right.
you had to reinvent either way.
Mhm.
But I think that it caused the anxiety, amongst people, and they're almost fearful of doing it. That is sort of a mental illness, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because there's something behind that fear.
Mhm.
So I think
and
that's a
even
great
and even
topic.
bringing yourself out of it, one of the things
Yeah.
about that people struggle with when they have depression is, the ups and the downs of life. So, even bringing yourself out of the rut of, maybe my business isn't doing as well as I thought it should have, or maybe it didn't do well in the third quarter. So do I just give up, or do I prep myself for Q4? So even dealing with that. So no,
Yeah,
but definitely a great program. I won't give away too much more for her, the wonderful program that she has coming
absolutely.
up. But no, I'm really excited about that one. So
Absolutely. And I like the business shower. There are some things that I want to do in this new year. And I believe that it takes, some income, it takes some
yeah.
economics, it takes some marketing, it takes some, getting out there a little bit further than where I am now.
Mhm.
And so I may even be contacting you about, doing a shower.
Yeah.
Even though I'm here in Indiana,
Mhm.
you got to expand. You got to go out into communities that you aren't a part of to make, to close the economic circle and make the community larger. So you
Agreed.
close the circle with people, but you make the community larger. Does that
Exactly.
make sense?
Agreed.
All
Yeah.
right. Now tell us about these shoes behind you. Tell us about Coca Bees.
Okay.
We've actually uh uh use your website on our page. So
Mhm.
I hope that you've got some footwork from us sharing your
Yeah,
website.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
no
sharing the
problem.
website. So I will show you this. This is my bestseller. This is Sage. And now I'll give you one of the things about Coca B is that I started Coca B because one, my love of shoes, but my love of shoes came from my relationship with my mother. And you know, she is a shoe lover still, but she taught me how to walk in heels by the time I was 5 years old. So with that said, every shoe that I have is named after someone who's influential or who has been in my life. So
Oh,
this is Sage. And Sage, the funniest thing is that, so this is the first design that I ever created. She comes in different colors. So here's the red, and then here is the black.
ooh,
And I'm
stunning.
also releasing a green in the next 2 weeks. But so
That's my favorite color.
green, yeah,
Yes.
I love green too. So I actually named Sage because of my daughter who's 6. That's her best friend's name. And while I was creating the shoe, she would come home and she would be like, uh, Sage is the only person that's ever nice to me, and she
Aw,
has hair just like me, and she's a brown girl, and I'm just so comfortable because she's there. So
aw.
that's why I named her Sage, just because at that time, she brought a lot, or that name brought a lot of happiness into our household. And I love the fact that, one of the things, or one of the reasons why my daughter was so comfortable around her was just, she said, well, yeah, we're both brown girls and our hair, it looks alike all the time. So that's where the
Aw,
name came from.
good. Beautiful story. I see a clear shoe back there that I actually saw online. Um, Another thing that I like about your shoes and about your boutique is that they're not all stiletto skinny heels. You got some chunky ones for our chunky,
I
for
do.
me. I'm not gonna say us chunky girls. I'm just gonna say for this chunky girl, she needs sometimes a chunkier heel, you know?
Yeah, so here's this was actually new this season.
That is sharp.
Yeah. This one is, it's a chunky heel, but it's more of what I would call like the contemporary chunky, because it's the triangle here, and this started this season. Um but I would say this one is also a favorite, just
Oh, that
because
is
of the,
cute.
yeah, it's really cute. It has the fur at the top, and then of course the chunky heel at the bottom. Another
That is
favorite.
cute.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I try to mix it up a
we
little
need
bit.
to.
I like to give variations. My boots are actually on the other side, so I won't be able to show those. But no, I try to have just different variations of things. And like I said, that's one of the reasons why I not only wanted to do my own designs, but I wanted to feature other designers as well.
Excellent. This has been an amazing conversation. I did not get much about you personally because you wear so many hats that I gotta know what inspired you to not only how many years did you go to school to be an attorney?
Um, Gosh, I don't want to say because it's a lot.
A lot of years. But not only during that
Oh
journey
wow.
of school, you have become an entrepreneur of several businesses. And I already know without you saying that these are not your first ventures. So who and what inspires you, and like where did the strength come from?
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was just having this conversation a few days ago. But I would say that, when I was very young, I had a foundation that spoke life into me. I really thought by the time I was 16 or 17 years old that I could be the president of the United States, that I
Amen.
could I could, be whatever I wanted to be, and not just,
Yes.
in words, but just because my foundation was so strong, and they told me like, hey, you want to be a doctor? You could be a doctor. Hey, you want to be a lawyer? You could be that too. Hey, you want to own a store? You can own a store too. You can do it all at the same time if you want to. So I think I would say for me, I always kind of knew that whatever I wanted, I could eventually get there. It may not be, when in the time where I wanted to, which was that was another life lesson where I said, like, it doesn't really always happen at the time that you want it to, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to.
Right.
So I would say in terms of motivation, I was always that child that had a foundation of people being like, you can do whatever you want. And they seriously, they believe that in sincerity, like so much so I literally thought that I could be the president of the United States, and still do.
Wow. Yeah.
So, in terms of this being not being my first venture, I would also say that for all entrepreneurs, just don't give up. And it's going to be hard. And a lot of times, these stories that you see from people, they don't tell you about the bad things that happen. They don't tell you about the year where they may not have gotten any sales. They don't tell you about the business that they had that may have failed. I mean, maybe they will one day, but a lot of times you just hear the success. So just in terms of motivation, I've never been one to quit anything. I mean, I will pivot. I definitely will pivot. I will change direction.
Yes.
I will change direction. I will rebrand. I will call in some consultants or whoever, to help me understand where I went wrong. But, I've never been one to say, you know what, let's just scrap this whole thing. So, and that's for anybody listening, like, I don't care how big or small your business is, like, it's going to get hard. And it happens to everybody, whether they tell you or not. Sometimes people aren't going to see your dream. Sometimes people just aren't going to see your vision. Sometimes people just simply aren't going to believe.
That's right.
And that's fine too, but that doesn't mean that your idea is terrible. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. And it doesn't mean that you can't pivot.
That's right. I love that word pivot. I love that word pivot. I did some pivoting recently, and God told me that while I was on this pivot, what my choice would be, any choice that I make on this pivot would be successful. And I believed it.
Yeah.
I believed it. This is a pivot choice right here to make this platform for business owners, for entrepreneurs, for education purposes, for spreading good news, spreading truth. And I mean, I can't help but be a woman of God. So I have to have my faith as my foundation. So I believe that with God, that this community, this economic growth that we're going to experience, that I'm taking everybody along with me on this pivot, on this pivot. Wherever I stop, God is gonna bless it.
Yeah, and
So
that's good. And it's about the journey. Like, as I
yeah.
mentioned before, it's about the journey. I don't think that I would have even come up with this if I hadn't gone through the journey. If I hadn't met so many amazing women like throughout the journey who, like, I sold anything, eyelashes, playing cards. Like, my journey was so impeccable that it definitely birthed this entire concept. So yeah, the journey is important as well.
All right. So if there's anyone that you would like to pass on to me so that we can showcase them as well, so that we can get them on this platform as well. I am starting in the new year to also be a sponsor of products.
Okay.
So if I am the ambassador of the product, I also work to make sure that it's out there, that people know about it, they hear about it. And then some of my friends and some of the people that have been recommended to me, I've done that for free. So but going into the new year, we want to make that a growth for Three Core Bond. We want to make this Three Core Bond strong within the community, and that will be the community, me, and God, and so with the three of us united, it's not easily broken, it's not easily infiltrated, it's not easily torn down. We want to go forward and grow as people. So we got to help those, reach those, and spread the good news. Takesha, I've taken up a lot of your time. Is there anything else about your journey or about your businesses that you like to add that we didn't touch today?
I think we touched on everything. Again, you can shop my collection at www.cocobeshoes.com. Thank you for displaying the website. Also, for anyone out there, if they're in North Carolina or New Jersey, because I'm licensed in both jurisdictions, and they have questions about civil law or family law, I'm definitely available for that. My website, well, it's Garner Legal PLLC. and I'm licensed in New Jersey as well as North Carolina if they have any family law questions or any contract/civil law questions.
That's right. And just on a lighter note, so that's baby daddy and baby mama issues. No, I'm joking.
Right.
But we do want to keep the families together. I think that's awesome that you work with family litigation to
Mhm.
keep, because a lot of people are ignorant to child support. A lot of men end up on child support and in real big fines.
Yeah.
I've heard some stories where men are getting federal um uh what do you call it, a felony for child support
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
we do.
jurisdictions are getting very crafty. Let's call it crafty. So back to my original statement, call an attorney. Like please do not think that you can handle this by what your friend said happened to her nephew. There are some jurisdictions that will boot your car for child support. There will some that they'll come pick you, especially particularly like your Commonwealth jurisdictions. You want to make sure you stay on any types of issues of that matter. But that's a discussion for a whole nother day. But back to my original statement, call an attorney.
That's the best advice. I'm telling you, that's the best advice for me. Being a woman of two sons, I definitely preach marriage. But we don't want to be being ignorant to the law is not an excuse. So we got to know what to do if it
Right.
happens. But we definitely want to teach our young men to take care of your responsibility.
Mhm.
It's cheaper to keep her, and it's
Yeah.
cheaper to wear a condom and not even make that mistake to even go down that road and just get married. Put it that way. Just get married
Yeah.
and have one
Yeah,
family.
and that's the ideal way, but I'll say, in my line of work, even the marriage sometimes doesn't help.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, ooh,
yeah.
ooh,
Yeah, I've
ooh.
seen a lot. Even the marriages, there are some married people that are on child support. Just FYI. Yeah,
Oh
but
wow.
but as I said, that's a topic for a whole nother day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining
No
us
problem.
today. You are always welcome to come back. If we can be a guest at anything that you are putting on, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and
Will
let me
do.
know how I can help, how we can spread the good news and continue to be partners in the economic growth and the economic recycling in our community.
Will
Um,
do.
all right. Well, thank you so much and have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You too.
All right. This has been a very um educational moment. We have learned so much from Takesha, attorney Takesha. We've learned so much about Coca Bees, her business. We learned so much about her space where you can have a boutique for a week. We learned so much from Eric, who is our tax expert, who's given us information on how to avoid identity theft, and gave us some news that we can use, y'all. Our tax returns are not going to be that big this year. Woo! I got an empty nest, so I wasn't looking forward to any big taxes, but it's still news that we can use. So I am so grateful to both of them today. I wanted to go over our mission for the new season of season 3 of Three Core Bond. Our mission is to grow in wealth of knowledge using group economics to reach those in need of holistic healing, financial education, and community outreach with the Word of God as our foundation. So I commend Attorney Takesha for already doing the community work, already having the space that if we need to, we can use. Um, Looking forward to what we're going to do as an incorporation with Three Core Bond. How our community effort, how our charity will grow. Stay tuned with us. Continue to check in on us. You can check this podcast on Anchor and Spotify and YouTube. And I thank you so much for having me. I thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Have a good one. See you next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time.